everyone, and welcome to Good to Great School Australia's webinar. We're excited to share practical, powerful strategies that will help transform your teaching practice. Today, we're going to focus on the cornerstones of a positive and effective classroom: motivation, praise, and error correction. You'll leave this session with classroom-ready techniques designed to not only boost student engagement and learning outcomes, but also support you in meeting your professional standards. My name's Julie Grantham. I'm the Director of Schools for Good to Great Schools Australia. I'm also a former teacher, principal and Director General of Education in Queensland. We'll spend the next 45 minutes exploring how our approach empowers teachers, streamlines lesson delivery and fosters student engagement. So let's get started. So Good to Great Schools Australia is a First Nations not-for-profit organisation founded in Cape York Peninsula. Our mission is to support the education of future generations and all Australian students. We've got a great team of talented educators who work hard to serve all students and their schools. We send our greetings to First Nations people from all over Oceania and acknowledge peoples of different cultures. A little bit of housekeeping. We've got at the end 10 minutes for questions and answers. There's a little Q&A function there at the bottom of the screen. Use it to ask questions at any time throughout the webinar. And if we can't get you an answer today, we'll certainly respond within 48 hours. To see our presenters throughout the webinar, go to the top of the screen, click on View Select, and then select Gallery View. We really want your feedback on the webinar. So at the end, a little 5-question survey will pop up. And if you could take just a couple of minutes to answer that, that really helps us to inform and develop a webinar program that responds to your need. And of course, we'll talk about membership. So I've talked about who I am, and I am joined today by two wonderful co-presenters, Ashley and Lizzie. So it's a great pleasure to have you both. So Ash, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks a lot for that, Julie. So my name is Ashley Flower. I'm a teacher, coach and training coordinator here at Good to Great Schools. I've got over 13 years of teaching experience. 5 of those years have been coaching and mentoring teachers, especially early teachers, which I really enjoy. And I've got over 10 years of experience in motivation, praise and error correction.
And Lizzie, welcome.
Thanks, Julie. So my name's Lizzie Ashby and I have been teaching for about 17 years, and most of the time I have been teaching, it has been either teaching, coaching or training direct instruction.
Thanks, Lizzie, and it's great to have you both. So I want to start today by briefly touching what we do at Good to Great Schools Australia. Every state and territory have the syllabus of each of the learning areas and what schools are required to teach. The curriculum authorities in your states then require the school and the teacher to plan the details of how to move from that higher level document to the classroom delivery. And I know teachers spend hours and hours doing this. They're hoping that they're interpreting the what and their ideas and the resources that they select meet the standards. At GGSA, we take the what, we turn it into the how. We will give you the teacher guide, the lesson plans, the student workbooks, the assessment, the guides to making judgment. This is developed by highly experienced teachers who are trained by experts in constructing lessons using explicit instruction approaches. They follow that systematic evidence-based protocol to present you the how of the Australian curriculum. They select images and embed resources after an extensive selection process, and they are spectacular. And of course, one thing I should say right up front, we always get asked how much are our resources? Well, they're all free. Today, we want to delve into the skills that you can action in the classroom so that you will transform your teaching practices and support your students for engagement, delivering highly effective lessons, all the while accessing professional learning that upon completion will support your re-registration to your accrediting authority, as they are all mapped to the AITSL National Standards for Teachers. So what do we do before we start? One of the things I like to know is why you're here. And we always do a little poll to see something you know about the topic. So the question I'm starting with today is, which classroom technique do you find most challenging to implement? Is it the motivation and the engagement of students? Is it the providing effective praise, the positive feedback, correcting student errors constructively? Or is it using the hand signals that are used to control your classroom? I'll be quiet for a minute and give you time to actually pick which ones of those suit you, but also if there's something else, just pop it into the Q&A and we can look at that there. I always get nervous waiting for the results. Okay, so the motivation. Yeah, it's always a challenge, isn't it, when you're trying to concentrate on that. So we'll be spending time on that motivation and engaging students. And don't forget, at any time that the presenters present something and you want to know more about, pop that into the Q&A. So let's kick off with, what is the challenge today? What's the challenge in today's classrooms? The reality is that despite everyone's best efforts, recent data paints a very challenging picture. Our national tests show a significant portion of students are falling behind in essential skills. At the same time, teachers are on the front line. They're managing increasingly diverse learning needs and rising student disengagement. This is the context we're working in, and that was reflected in the poll when you're looking for those skills to upskill and engage with students. It highlights why having those specific practical strategies, I think, are more critical than ever. So I've highlighted the challenge. I've done the easy bit. I'm going to hand over to Ash and to Lizzie to actually provide those practical responses.
Yeah, thanks, Julie. So how do we tackle these significant challenges? The good news is that there are practical, proven techniques that work. The strategies we're covering today, like hand signals, praise, and effective error correction, and effective teaching practices, are not just theories. They are a direct response to the need for greater engagement, better support for diverse learners, and a renewed focus on mastering those fundamental skills. This webinar is about equipping you with those tools. So the solution is a structured and powerful approach, direct and explicit instruction, which is the core of effective teaching. This method involves directly teaching skills and concepts, practicing together, and then allowing students to apply their knowledge independently. It systematically builds confidence and mastery, step by step, ensuring every student can succeed.
So let's preview some of the core strategies. Each one plays a critical role in building a classroom where students feel motivated to learn, supported in their growth, and confident in their success. We'll look closely at each strategy in the coming slides, and we'll have practical tips and real classroom examples for each approach. So first off, praise is more than just saying good job. It can be a targeted tool to reinforce the specific behaviours and efforts that you want to see in your classroom. When we give effective praise, we're building students' confidence, but we're also clearly communicating our expectations and fostering a culture where students feel valued and motivated. A great benchmark to aim for is 4 to 1, so 4 positives to every 1 correction. And for praise to be truly effective, it really needs to be specific. So let's break down the 3 parts of behaviour-based praise. First, describe exactly the behaviour you want to reinforce, just like a video replay. Second, provide a rationale. Explain why that action matters and connect it with your school-wide values, like being respectful or being a focused learner. Finally, pair the verbal praise with a tangible reward that the student has earned. So that will further reinforce the positive action. The impact of consistent and specific praise can be immediate and creates a powerful ripple effect. For you, the teacher, it means building stronger relationships and creating positive culture that allows you to teach without interruption. And for the students, the flow on effects are huge. They can become more engaged, more focused learners who progress more quickly because they know what success feels like and they know they're being supported in achieving it. So let's have a look at the second pillar, motivation. When students are genuinely motivated, the effect on the classroom can be profound. They are more resilient, they engage more deeply with the material, and their work improves. A motivated class allows you to focus your energy on teaching and delivering great lessons because the students are intrinsically driven to participate and succeed. So how can we actively foster motivation? It starts by making learning meaningful. We need to help students see the why behind what they're learning. So if you're using lesson intentions and success criteria, this really helps students explain and understand the why. Using something visible to track progress, both individually and as a class, gives them a tangible sense of accomplishment. And then shifting the focus from competition to collaborative, mastery-orientated goals can create a supportive environment where all students believe they can succeed and feel the satisfaction of overcoming challenges. The benefits of a well-motivated classroom are clear for everyone. For you, the teacher, it means you can dedicate more time and energy to teaching rather than redirecting off-task behaviour. For students, this environment fosters a deeper learning, higher achievement, and a sense of ownership that empowers them to take control of their own success. It creates a positive cycle where success builds more motivation. And the third pillar is effective error correction. It's crucial to see students' errors not as failures, but as valuable feedback. An error tells us that a student is trying, and it pinpoints exactly where we need to provide more instruction or more practice. By correcting errors immediately and supportively, we turn a mistake into a powerful learning moment and prevent misunderstandings from taking root. The procedure for correcting an error is simple, immediate, and is highly effective. As soon as you hear the mistake, stop the exercise and then model the correct response just by stating the right answer. Next, have the student or group say the answer along with you. After that, check they can do it independently. And finally, the crucial step, repeat the part of the task to ensure that learning is secure before moving on. And then add in a delayed test. So come back to it at the end of the lesson or beginning of the next day to really make sure mastery has been achieved. Like our other pillars, effective error correction has immediate and lasting benefits. For teachers, it's a powerful formative assessment tool that gives you real time feedback and you can respond to students in the moment. For students, the impact is immense. It creates a safe environment where they feel confident to participate, knowing that mistakes will be handled constructively. This process ensures they master content correctly, leading to firmer understanding and accelerated progress.
So, to take error correction and student engagement to the next level, we focus on mastering signals with fidelity. Good to Great School Australia's Practice Use Signals module gives you a deeper understanding of what effective signalling looks like and what can go wrong if it's inconsistent. By learning to overcome barriers and use signals intentionally, you'll ensure every student is on track. We've introduced the professional learning module, which is your deep dive into the theory of using signals with fidelity. Now we're going to connect the theory directly to your daily classroom practice. This module gives you the why behind the technique, and in the next section, we're going to give you the what, the practical hand signals that you can start using immediately. By understanding the principles first, you'll be able to implement these signals far more effectively.
So let's have a look at some different hand signals and how they are a powerful, practical tool for eliciting unison responses in your classroom. They also maintain focus of the student and achieve true direct instruction. Signals are the mechanism we use to get every student to respond in unison. This is critical because it gives every student more practice and allows you to check for whole class understanding instantly and keeps the entire room focused and engaged. Using signals consistently in your classroom can yield powerful benefits for both you and your students. As a teacher, you gain real-time, accurate assessment of your entire class, allowing you to respond to learning needs instantly. For students, it creates a highly engaging environment where they get many more opportunities to practice, which builds their confidence, firms up their understanding, and accelerates their learning. For a signal to be effective, there needs to be a consistent structure. And there are 5 distinct parts, and they always happen in the same order. So, first, you focus the student's attention. Then, you give them think time to process the question. You follow that with a verbal cue like get ready. Next comes an interval, a silent 1 second pause. And then finally, you give the signal itself, which is the action to trigger the response from the students. This structure ensures that every student is thinking independently and responding together. So the focus directs their attention. Think time is crucial for processing, and think time will vary depending on the complexity of the task. The cue will act as a preparatory command, getting everyone on the same page, and then the 1 second interval is vital. Unlike think time, the 1 second interval needs to say consistent timing. It ensures that students wait for the signal and don't jump the gun. Finally, the signal is the action that prompts the immediate unified response. So using this consistent 5-part structure will bring significant benefits. For you as the teacher, it allows you to monitor the entire class accurately, increase the level of interaction and responses from the students, and easily identify the students who might be struggling or need more practice. For students, it can foster independence as they can't copy their neighbours. And this process builds confidence through active participation and keeps them focused on the learning at hand. Now, there isn't just one way to signal. The type of signal you will choose depends on the task. We'll look at a few key signals, from visual cues like the hand drop when all eyes are on the teacher, or to auditory signals when the students are looking down in their workbooks or on a worksheet. Each one is a powerful tool for ensuring students are participating and responding together.
So Lizzie, before we go on, what I thought I'd do here is just do another poll, because
Yep.
hand signals is not something that we always talk about, and we know that it's in classrooms, when in explicit teaching, it becomes a very important part of that. So my question here to our participants is, how confident are you to use hand signals effectively in your classroom? And we're going to go on and demonstrate what they actually look like. But are you very confident, somewhat confident, not confident, or I don't use hand signals yet as part of that interaction with and management of the class? So which one of those relates to you? Okay, somewhat confident. That's great. Okay, so this part, for those people that are confident, will reinforce that and just give you that confidence that you're doing that properly. Then the people that don't use them yet, you may see where the value of using a hand signal will be in your class. Before we go on and start unpacking those hand signals, though, just a quick reminder: if you've got a question, pop that into the Q&A. You might have a comment. It doesn't have to be a question. So please, if you've got anything you want clarified or any further information, pop it into that Q&A and we'll come back to it. So Lizzie, let's go through now the first of the hand signals, the hand drop.
Thanks, Julie. And I was going to say, for those people who want to build confidence, like a lot of things, it's practice. So just keep practicing will build that confidence.
Yeah.
So let's have a look at the hand drop signal, the first signal we're going to look at today. And this is one of the most common signals that you'll use in your classroom. And it's perfect for situations where students are looking directly at you, the teacher, and waiting for instruction. So let's watch a short video to see what it looks like in practice.
This is how you do the hand drop signal. What is 6 plus 10? Get ready. A hand drop signal is used when students' eyes are on the teacher. You focus the students while you are talking with your hand up in the stop position. Pause for 2 seconds. Say the cue. Pause for 1 second. Signal by crisply dropping your hand. Do it with me.
So let's walk through an example of the hand drop signal. So as the video mentioned, it's great for a whole class response where the students are answering orally and looking at you as a teacher. So you might have given them an oral maths problem. First, you're going to get their focus. Then you're going to give them think time, so a few seconds to be silent. Next, the verbal cue, get ready, prepares them to answer. And you pause for that crucial 1 second and then give a clear, decisive hand drop. The main takeaway is that consistency is everything. So you can practice the 5-part sequence until it becomes automatic for you and your students. The next signal we'll look at is the auditory signal. Now, this is your go-to signal when students are looking down at their desks. They might have something they're reading or a workbook in front of them, and it will sound like a clap or a finger snap. It'll cut through and it will cue the response from the students without them needing to look up at you. So let's see an example.
This is how you do an auditory signal. First word. What word? An auditory signal is used when a student is looking in their book or workbook. You focus students on the task. Pause for 2 seconds. Say the cue. Pause for 1 second. Signal.
So let's look at an auditory signal, like a finger snap. And it's useful, as we said before, when students are looking at their own materials at their desk, not at you. So you're going to focus their attention on the task. You might tell them where to look at the book. Everybody look at part A. You'll give them think time by asking the question, what number? And then before you expect a response, you'll use the cue, get ready, build anticipation. After the 1 second pause, deliver the crisp, clear finger snap. And the consistency of the sound and the rhythm of the sequence are what makes it effective for group responses. Now the point touch signal. You'll use this when you want students to focus on a specific item that isn't on their own desk, like a sound or a number on the whiteboard or a picture in a large presentation book. You'll use your finger or a pointer as the focal point. So let's see a video of how it works.
This is how you do the point touch signal. Say each sound when I touch it. What sound? The point touch signal is used when students' eyes need to be focused on the teacher presentation book. You focus the students by holding your finger 2 centimeters off the page, right below or next to the symbol.
So that was an example of the point touch signal, and it's perfect for teaching reading and practicing sounds. So you focus the student's attention by holding your finger just above the sound or the letter. You provide think time by asking the question and then use your cue, get ready. After a short pause, the signal is a crisp touch right under the sound. And this action eliminates any ambiguity and tells the students exactly when to respond and what to focus on. And here's, moving on to the point touch slide signal. Now, this is essential for reading exercises. You start by pointing to a word, giving them think time, and then sliding your finger under the word to signal for the students to read it. Let's watch the technique.
This is how you do the point touch slide signal. You're going to read these words the fast way. What word? Yes, next.
So let's look at the point touch slide signal, which is incredibly effective when you're teaching using a screen or a whiteboard. You focus their attention by putting pointer or finger at the beginning of the word, provide think time, and then get ready. Cue the signal, smooth, continuous motion sliding under the word, ensuring the whole class stays together from start to finish.
So I might take over now, Lizzie. So moving on to the fingers signal. So that's another flexible tool, especially useful for auditory drills where students aren't looking at a book or the board. So for example, when you want them to orally segment the sounds in a word without seeing it written down. Let's look at the example from a reading program.
This is how you do the fingers signal. You're going to say some words slowly by yourselves without stopping between the sounds. Listen. Say fun. Get ready. The fingers signal is used when students orally practice saying the sounds in words without visually responding.
So as we just saw then, the fingers signal is an excellent way to get every student to practice oral blending. Similar to the finger signal, the digit signal is used for oral tasks with no visual prompt. It's often combined with a verbal direction to guide students in pronouncing sounds. Here's a short video demonstrating the technique.
This is how you do the digit signal. You're going to say some sounds. When I hold up my finger, say, ah, get ready. A digit signal is used in oral pronunciation tasks that do not have visual representation of the sound.
So as we just saw then with the digit signal, it's another fantastic tool for checking that students can independently produce the sound orally. And finally, we've got the looping signal. So this is a specialized signal used when students are sounding out a word. The looping motion helps them connect and blend the individual sounds into a whole word. Let's see how it's done.
This is how you do the looping signal. Sound it out. Get ready. The looping signal is used when students sound out a word. You touch the dot of the arrow and say, sound it out. Pause for 2 seconds. Give the cue, get ready, pause for 1 second, loop and hold under the first sound, then loop and hold under each sound. Move your finger quickly off the arrow and return to the ball.
So the looping signal is ideal for activities that require a continuous paced response, like sounding out a word for our beginning readers. You focus their attention on the starting point. After providing think time and the get ready cue, your signal is a steady looping hand motion that sets the pace. This visual metronome keeps all students sounding out at the same speed. So that prevents some students from rushing ahead and other students from falling behind. It's a powerful tool for building reading accuracy as a group. So we've just scratched the surface on these powerful techniques. To truly master them, you need to see them in action and get the resources to implement them yourself. That's where the GGSA professional learning modules come in. We've spent over 2 decades researching and road testing these strategies in schools just like yours. Our modules are designed to give you the confidence and practical tools to transform your teaching. So we have covered a lot today, and we want to make sure that you have the resources to continue building these skills in your classroom. To truly perfect your techniques, we highly recommend the Practice Use Signals module. If you just need a quick refresher on what we've discussed, the practice cards is an excellent tool. And for a constant handy reminder for both you and your students, you might want to consider putting up the signals demonstration display in your teaching space.
And we'll go into how people can access these resources shortly, Ash. But before we move on and talk a bit more about our professional learning support for teachers to participate in, to build on that their skill and those techniques, I just wanted to remind everyone that take the time, if you've got a question or a comment, please use the Q&A button and pop that in there. So let's go more into the professional learning support that teachers can access from our website when they're a member. Ash, over to you.
Thanks, Julie. So the Mastery Teaching Pathway is our professional development platform for educators and school teams. It's available to all members. It offers certified training and coaching aligned with the Australian National Teaching Standards and school improvement goals. It's designed for everyone in education, so from principal level to teaching assistants, and it equips them with the essential skills for success. The modules include an overview of the program, teaching practices, instructional strategies and supportive resources, unit and lesson components, scenarios, reinforcing key concepts, assessments, and success criteria.
Thanks, Ash. We know that leaders in schools are looking to support success right across their school. And it's our toolkit of resources, whether it be curriculum, professional learning, or the school improvement tools, that can all contribute to a school-wide support and implementation plan. Our partner schools thrive because they do just that. They look for the high quality resources that will support achievement. Additionally, our partner schools can also access a further 10 hours of coaching support, and we plan with the school to meet whatever the challenges may be and how our resources can respond to it. So if you're a partner school, one of the things that's included are all those evidence-based, explicit and effective teaching that is supported by the great curriculum that we do. I've told you before of the, in every learning area, we have the teaching guide, the lesson plans, we have the student workbooks and the assessment. In the professional learning modules that Ash just talked about, they're available 24/7. So you can go on at any time to look and reflect and see experts actually doing the techniques or delivering the programs that you may be interested in. And of course, that extra additional coaching will support a successful implementation. And when I talk about coaching support, it can be tailored to the school. For example, you could have it in using the data, but it might be in the classroom, how the teacher uses their own data, or it could be the whole school classroom and data. It could be improvement strategies that can be used with positive high expectations, with managing behaviour. And I think today what we saw was that signalling work and how that can contribute to the control in a classroom. Also, accessing that professional learning, walking through the website, all those sorts of things are part of what you can access and design your in your own way to how you want that coaching support to look. Right across Australia, there's about 6,200 primary schools, and we are working in about 50% of the schools in some way. It might be in the curriculum, it might be in the professional learning or the school improvement. But the schools that we work with tell us that those benefits that are listed there are realised depending on which part they're using. But if it's curriculum, for example, they say the benefits are the reduced workload on teacher planning and preparation, enabling the teacher the time to consider the student need, their way of delivering and delivering that curriculum. So I picked those three of reduced workload, great student engagement and mastery of knowledge and skills and access to the professional learning. But there's a whole lot there that we capture as part of that feedback. Okay, let's look at the questions and answers. So no one has had a question so far. So my presenters should feel very comfortable that they've covered the content very, very well. Well, please, it's still open. So if you want to ask a question, please do. When we work with schools, and particularly on these aspects, Lizzie, the one question often comes up, how do I've got too many kids in my class, I've got a challenging class, they're very busy. How is it possible to maintain, you say, a 4:1 ratio? When I've got all that in front of me, how do I do that? It's not as simple as it sounds, the responses we get.
I know it sounds daunting, but really it doesn't have to be big, elaborate praise every single time. It can just be a simple, like, good job, great keeping your eyes. And I like to think it's sort of your commentary is what you want in your classroom. So you're like, great, I've got two people who are sitting up ready to go. Let's start. And making sure it's a mix of both academic and behavioral praise. So just by confirming somebody's answer is correct, that counts towards your 4 positives. So it just, and if you've got a challenging class, at the end of the day, if you've been focusing on the positives, then I think it allows you as a teacher to think you've had this lovely day because of all these positive things that have happened in your classroom. So it sounds daunting, the 4:1, but when you start focusing on the positives, then I think it breeds more positivity.
Mm. And Ash, another one that comes up, and I see it all the time when I'm in schools, when a teacher corrects a child, they often withdraw or get embarrassed or, feel in front of their peers, they're embarrassed, whatever it is. What's the best way to correct errors without, that being the result?
Yeah, that's a great question, Julie. So it's really important that we normalize mistakes as part of our learning. So I always make sure that the very first day I meet my class, that I make sure that I tell them the one thing that I love to see in my class is mistakes. And every single time, without failure, I get students going, what do you mean you love mistakes? Like, and they think I'm crazy. But I make sure to explain that to them. If we don't make mistakes, it means that we possibly are not stretching our brains and learning that new content. And it also means that maybe I'm teaching content to my class that they already know, which of course is what I don't want. I also like to make sure that I'm using neutral, non-judgmental language. So instead of saying, no, that's wrong, I like to say things like, that's really close. Let's take a look at it another way. Or I can see why you would think that, but let's just tweak your thinking a little bit. So I love to prompt self-correction in my students as well by using prompts like, does that sound right? Or in maths, I really like to ask students to prove their answer to me. So particularly for those students who aren't demonstrating their working out.
Thanks, Ash. And Lizzie, can you use the same hand signals in the upper primary that you'd use in the lower primary? Are they all the same?
Yes, for sure. And even right into high school, I've used hand signals as well. So the signals stay the same. What probably changes is the way I introduce them to the students and the language I might use. So in a kindergarten or a lower primary class, I might liken my hand to a stop sign. So when it's up, that's their time to stop and listen. Whereas for high school students or upper primary, I'd explain it the same way I do to teachers, explain the rationale behind why and why it's important to have everybody answer at once. So yeah, what changes is the language probably, but not the signal.
Okay. Ash, right at the beginning, in the poll, someone talked about, or the biggest group was about how to motivate students. And I can't remember the exact wording of the question, but how do you use those motivation strategies for students that are completely disengaged, they're non-responsive, they've checked out almost? Every teacher has it, no matter how great a class is. At some point in every day, every teacher will have that. So what about that disengaged or responsive, unresponsive student that you're trying to praise? What do you do there?
Yeah, that's a good one too, Julie. So I think the first step to the disengagement is to understand why the student is disengaged. Is it a knowledge gap? Are they scared to fail? Do they feel unappreciated or undervalued? So this may not be something that's come from school. Maybe it's come from at home or somewhere else, maybe in a sport that they're doing. So are there things outside of the school that's really impacting their level of engagement? So once we work out the underlying cause of the disengagement, it's really important to build trust with the student. So they need to know that they're valued when they're in your care and that you truly care about them. So I always find that showing an interest in things that the students are interested in is a great way to build that rapport. So when they're feeling emotionally safe with me, I always notice that the motivation really starts to grow. So once you've achieved this, the next step is to create opportunities for small successes with the student. So things like it might mean working with them to complete the first 1 to 2 sections of their work for a couple of days, or perhaps it would be setting a timer with an achievable time limit on it. So making sure that they could complete a section of work and then challenging them to complete a little bit more the next day before the timer goes off. So anything, I suppose, or another thing to consider is offering choices to the student. So of course, depending on the year level, but for those younger students, you might give them an option to write or draw their response. If you've got older students, you might consider asking them, oh, would you like to complete the vocab task first or the reading task first? So giving them that choice so they've got that ownership of their learning. And I suppose the other thing is that students who are disengaged are often, they really enjoy being given responsibilities such as a classroom job. So that again is part of building that rapport with them. So breaking down the barriers that some of these students have isn't always quick, but we need to be consistent and remember to celebrate any progress with the students, even if it's something really minor. Something that I find really, really works well with those kids who are disengaged. A lot of the time, those families don't receive any or very much, if any, positive news about those kids. So something that I've done ever since my first year of teaching, I used to either do like a positive note home to the parents or else just a quick phone call, 2-minute phone call. Hey, I'm just letting you know that your child has achieved this and this today. I'm really proud of them. Their effort's been fantastic and their attitude's awesome. That really can help build the relationship with the student and the family.
Great. Thanks, Ash. A great answer, actually.
Sorry, it was a long one.
No, it's okay. It was very comprehensive. I'm going to try something different. We haven't had anyone open a question. I'm going to ask Sarah, who's our moderator, to enable anyone who wants to ask a question to turn their mic off or turn their mute off and ask a question verbally. And we'll just try it to see if anyone's willing to have a go at that. I'll just be quiet. Anyone want to ask a question using their voice, their audio? No, we're all very quiet today, I think. Okay, well, let's move on. Let's move on to the end of the presentation and what we are and how you become a member. How do you access all the materials? And there's 2 ways to do it. You may be an individual member, you're a school teacher, you're a teaching assistant. You can simply sign up on your own to access any of our resources for free. If there's more people in a school and we have what we call a partner school membership, when we're doing the work right across year levels or right across the school, that's what we call a partner school membership. And that's when someone in the administrative team can contact us here at GGSA at info@goodtogreatschools.org.au, and they can then sign their school up to be a partner school, which then triggers there's some curriculum, what we call premium curriculum programs. There's expert coaching available. We can help you with data and then some advice that we can give along the way. So 2 ways to be a member, individual or partner. And we know that, and you've seen, I showed you the benefits of being a partner school is certainly one that our teachers give us great feedback about. So but for today, we're going to give you a free gift for being an attendee this afternoon, and it's a practice module. And a practice module is something that we do, and I explained the 3 different types of modules. But a practice module is when your teaching coach or your instruction coach says, look, you're doing that well, but you can do it better. And if you go back and have a look at this expert, and it could be Lizzie, it could be Ashley, it could be Alice is in that picture, and they are people that are highly experienced in explicit instruction. And you can then watch them actually do this technique, and that gives you a demonstration, if you like, and you can watch yourself, then look at an expert and someone that's highly experienced, and just keep modeling until you get that technique right. So I'm going to bring us to a close now, and thank firstly Ashley and Lizzie for coming on this afternoon. It's been great to have you here. We do these webinars every week, practically every week. And our next webinar next week on the 23rd of October is how to turn a reluctant writer into informative experts. So we've got the most fascinating modules in writing. So if you're interested in that, and the writing is for every year level, P to 6 or F to 6, for every term of every year. And there's some fantastic units that we'll be demonstrating next week. So if you would love to join us, please register as a participant, and we'll make sure that our webinar responds to your requests and to your feedback. So remember, the little survey is going to pop up. If you've got some feedback for us again, could you just do that there so that we can take note of all what that looks like. So again, everyone, thank you for joining us. And we'll see you next week, hopefully, on our webinar of how to turn reluctant writers into informative experts. All the best. Bye for now.